So, good morning. I'm doing a little voiceover on this now. This piece of wood is a branch piece of eucalyptus, um, which is pretty wet. So we're turning it from wet, basically. It was cut down about 3 months ago. So basically, we're just going to get it turned down into round and see where we go from there. The lathe is currently running about 700 revs, and I'm using a 1/2 inch bowl gauge. To begin with, my idea was just to make a small box. And be very careful there when I'm coming up towards the chuck. Try not to fall at the end. Oops. Rub the bevel. Lift the handle. Pick up the cut. And that was the stab center just released itself there, so we'll just stop the lathe a second. Open that up. Tighten it up a little bit. And that should be okay now. I'll just double check that stab center is nicely locked in there. Oh, that's the wrong way. There we go. Hang that back up so we don't restart the lathe with that in there. Never a good idea. That was a mistake. Could have adjusted my tool rest there where I had it stopped. So we'll just adjust that. Give it a turn, make sure it's nice and free. Touching just there. There we go. And we'll go again, trying to... I think I've turned the speed up a little bit now. There we're just over 1,000 revs there. So I've speeded up quite a lot of this video to try and reduce the time. Started off nearly 2 hours and I've knocked it down to 1 hour and 14. Sorry to bore you sometimes, but the bits where I have slowed it down, there's usually something to see. And basically I've tried to leave in the good stuff and the bad stuff. So hopefully you'll be able to see my mistakes and not be copying them yourselves. And as I say, my channel is basically it's a history lesson for me, so I can always look back and say, well, there's a lesson I haven't learned yet. So I hope I can progress and get better. Got some nice shavings coming off of that there as a few little tool marks and that. So now I'm going to put a 10 on either end of this. So I'll just leave that bowl gauge in there for now. And I'm going to use my badan. If I can find it. There it is. I use a little badan for making a... So first and foremost I need to square this end up a little bit. Without getting too close to the live center. And that's that squared up a bit. So now just make a little... Half the width of the badan is enough for my... And I've already got my caliper set to what my chuck takes. So I'll just set them on there. No, nothing like there yet. Do a little bit more cut. I'll do that. Now the important bit is that this shoulder is nice and square. There we go. I'm just going to square up again now. There. So now, so there. So now, let's have a look at that and see does that make more sense. I'll just use my rubber. Doesn't cut very well, I have to say. In fact, it doesn't cut at all. Oh, there's fell out again. What is going on with that camera? Oh, I'll just go pause this for a second, guys. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, overhead cam or close up. Can you see that shape? So now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to part this off in the middle. Yes, I am. Doing a little relief cut for our part tool. Or we could cut it off with a fine saw. But I think I'll just keep going here. Or this. This was running about 700 there, that'll be fine. I'll just take a little bit more off of there so as we have a decent wall thickness. Now let's just check that, see where we are now. No need to rush any of this. It's a hobby. You're not a production turner. Well, at least I'm not. Never will be. So that's now about 3.5. That's a good thickness for a wall on a little box. So we should be good at that. I'm going to go with that. So the next thing to do then is to start. We could do a little bit of shaping on the outside, but I think I'm going to take a little bit out of this. I'm going to hollow a little bit out. So the way I'm going to hollow it out is I'm going to use a Jacob's chuck. So change this over. Oh, wrong spot. Put that in there. Jacob's chuck. Fastener bit. Just check that fastener bit's big enough. That should be good. So some people say this is cheating. Others say, why waste your time hollowing out too much? Well, unless you want to practice hollowing, which I would suggest you do on a bowl rather than on a small piece, it's not cheating. Tighten that up. Now, bring up the tailstock. Again, don't run your tailstock straight in. Now, I've heard lots of people saying things, done this down to about 500 somewhere. So we'll start it off nice and slow, not engaged. Remember my lathe starts at around about 500, so that's 470 there. That'll be fast enough. So what we'll do is I'll put the extractor on, and I've heard a lot of people talking about holding on to the chuck. Well, I'm not going to hold on to the chuck. I'm just going to let the chuck do its work first. Because the pressure's coming down through the Morse taper. The chuck shouldn't go anywhere. The issue only ever comes when you were drawing the... So I'm just advancing it nice and slowly. No rush. And occasionally withdraw it a little bit. And as you withdraw it, that's when you hold on to it. Now, we're getting a bit of a squeak there. So I'm just going to get a little bit of wax. It's getting a bit hot, so you can just melt a little bit of wax into that. There we go. And that should help with the squeak. The point, which is down in here, I only want 50 mil. So from the point to about there, so roughly about there somewhere. So at least you'll be able to see where that is. If I just wind that back in again, we'll start the lathe up again. So now we're getting close. Go to the overhead again, so as you can see, there's the black line. We're heading for it. And that's probably close enough. And we'll start to withdraw that now. Carefully, because there's a lot of debris in there. There we go. And now we can withdraw. There we go. So new Simon Hope mini hollowing tool. So we'll just put the shaft in, give ourselves a bit to work with. The Allen key is secreted in the handle. As you can see, the Allen key is fixed into the handle and it just pops in the end. Just held in with a couple of O-rings. Good design. And a little safety guard on the cutter. What I want you to pay attention to is there's a flat on the bottom. So I'm going to keep that flat down. So what I need to do is make sure that we have this set at I'm going to set it about 30 degrees. So it's not too aggressive, because it can take away a whole lot of timber. It's a little beast of a thing. Okay, put that over there. Switch that off again for now. Now I'm going to get rid of my tailstock because it just gets in my way now. Set that over there. I'm waiting for the bed extension to come. Drop that tool, boost it down a bit. So one that's kind of cutting on centre. That's it. And we're just going to keep this tool parallel to the bed, the lathe bed, and we're just going to take little cuts and try and hollow this out. We've got a nice straight cut down at the bottom there, and the bottom is really nice, apart from that one little divot where the point was. So, lathe on, speed turn back up again. So that's just about 1,000 revs again. Now, can you see in there? You'll not be able to see from there. Let's go to that, and I'll just show you a little bit there. So that tool rest too high. Get it over a bit more, about there. So I'm going to reach into the bottom and just touch the bottom. And just come across the bottom. Oops. little catch there. Thought the chuck was loose there. So looking inside there now, that's a lovely little, that's actually really nicely finished in there. That's a super little tool. There's a tiny little bit of tear out just down here. Just about there somewhere. Seeing a little bit of tear out. So what I might do is I'm just going to use a little scraper on the bottom. So I have this little dome, little round head scraper. This one. And I'm just going to use it just to clean up the bottom a little bit. And then just run it up that side wall. So we'll see how that goes. This is one of those places where I made mistakes. I'm just taking a little divot out the middle. Whoops. Oops, too much. The tool rest needs to come off a bit. So we're leading this, trailing this edge a little bit. That's better. Whoops, it is. Oh, that's too much. I'm just taking too much out of there, so I just need to go a bit softer. More easy. Easy, big lad. Easy, big lad. Take your time. Tool is still a little bit low. I do have a bigger scraper, but I just want to try it with this. There we go. Tool rest was much too low, so now it's... Don't let it grab. Oh, dear. Oh, just this last little bit at the end here. Should be it. So we'll look in there again. See where we are with that. Let's get rid of some of that rubbish. Much better. That's a nice bottom now. So I'm going to finish the inside up with a bit of sandpaper. So I'm just going to use some 120 grit. And I'm just going to use my fingers. It's not that bad of a spot in there. So we'll turn the speed down to about 750. Give that a quick. You can see somewhere about there. That's visually just for you guys to see. Normally I wouldn't bother with that. I would just go ahead and get started. So now I can do a little bit of shaping on the outside. But I'm not going to remove this tan. I'm just going to shape this corner here. So, little spindle gauge. This little one here. And I'm just going to take this corner and round it off. Remember I said I was going to try and give it a little bit of a shape down in here. And bring it out towards the foot there. We'll take that away. Just quickly rough out some timber there. Bring that in round, nice. Take it in too fast. So now we're just going to sweep this on round. A nice arcing curve. Do the same here. So basically trying to put a cove in this, is all I'm doing. A little bit further back there. So basically we just made a giant egg cup. Back to the overhead. Again, I've just speeded up this little boring bit for you guys, this little bit of sanding. I was having little bits of trouble with my cameras today, losing focus, and one of the cameras kept blinking in and out. So where the teeth bit in, and there's the mark where my jaws go. You can actually see the other marks, but this one's got pencil on it. So I'll just kind of highlight that a wee bit for you. I can bring that up there. There we go. So when we come to remount it, we can just set it in and then tighten the jaws up. And as we tighten the jaws up, that's opening, we can kind of wiggle it until the teeth engage in exactly the same place they were before. And that should be exactly the same place then. So that's one way of making sure you get your piece back in the same place. Now what we're going to do is mount the lid. Get it nice and tight, make sure the jaws are squeezed up. There we go. So that's ready to go now, we can hollow that. But what do we have to take account of? We need to take account of where this lip is. Let me just move that out of the way, second. So when we put that in there, we need to know how far this lip is from this edge. So what do we measure it at? About 3.5 mil or something, 3 point something mil. So what we'll do is, we'll just measure the outside diameter. So there. And then we can transfer that to here. So we'll put that on there. We'll lift that up a little bit. A spider, a little money spider. I could do that. So I think this is starting to warp already. So we'll just wind that right until we get a measurement for the whole thing. That'll be okay. And just a bit like my dividers, I'm going to just use 1 point. So I think it's about there somewhere. So Let's go here. That's where it is there. There's that little money spider. I think you should go way over here, buddy. In there. There you go. Take the little spider away. So now we've got that. So we have to work out towards that line. So we can start the hollow out. I'm just going to use this little spindle gauge for now. Now, let's change that close up. So you can see where my line is there. So I'm going to try and stay away from that line a little bit. Just get myself a nice start. That tool rest is far too high, Brian. What are you doing? It's in the middle, so it should be okay now. Up and an arc. Taking too much. Just reduce the cut a little bit. So I don't need to go any much further than that. Just one more little cut here. There we go. Now, stop the lathe. Move the tool rest. Offer up the cup. And we have about half a mil or so to go. So what I normally do this with is my little badan, because it's got a nice sharp edge on it. So I'm going to use the badan and just make sure I've got a nice square cut here. But I'm going to use this edge of the badan just to kind of as a scraper. So first thing I'll do is just get this nice and square, because it's kind of tapered in there. So we'll just take a little bit there. Now, nice scrape. Let's try the lid on that. There is absolutely no rush with this bit. So that's nearly in, it's in. So if we can look at that, it's in at the bottom. I don't know if you can really see that from there, try it from up here. It's in at the bottom, but it's about, just tiny bit of a mill out at the top. So once more in there, and we'll just give it another little scrape and just take a tiny little shaving off it. So again, I'm going to use this edge. So basically when I get the tool in there and it's nice and square, I'm just rolling over to the edge a wee bit. Oops, nearly too much. There, let's try that. Now this is how I do it. I don't know how anybody else does it. I don't really mind how anybody else does it, but this is how I do it. So again, it's on at the bottom. It's just a fraction tight yet. So go again. One more little scrape along that side. I think that'll do. And I don't care if I have to do this 50 times. Doesn't matter. at the bottom, and then at the top. There we go. That's a perfect fit. Now what I can do is I can bring my I could bring my tailstock up, not going to do it yet, but bring my tailstock up and finish the outside. I will do that eventually, but that's as far tight as I need that for now. So now, hollow this out again. Now, I'm going to make this quite deep, so I'm actually going to use I'm going to use a little bowl gauge, small bowl gauge, this one, the small bowl gauge, and I'm going to use it like a drill. So I'm just going to drill through the centre. So it's horizontal, it's bang on centre, and the flute is open towards, let's say about between 9 and 10 o'clock. And I'm just going to drill that on straight on in. But I don't need it all that deep. So I'm just going to check the depth there. Because I want to make this nice and round at the top, remember. Turn that off. I'll just check that depth. Whoops. So that's about there. And that's plenty. So you can see where there's the original drawing I did on it. So if I take that any deeper, without going in the way, we'll not be able to do that. So I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm just going to hollow this out now. Again, I'm going to use my Simon Hope hollowing tool just to hollow this out. So off we go again. Turn the speed up this time. This again, we're up to about 1,000. So we'll just use this. And if you feel it's gripping too much, just rotate your hand. Just close the face of the tool, because it'll still cut. But he's in that way again. There we go. That's really nice now. And again, just finish it off with the scraper again. If I could stop the scraper taking too much, lift it up a little bit. Oh. A negative rake scraper might be better in here. In fact, once this is over, I might be converting this to a negative rate scraper. So we'll just do the edge there. On and down in. There we go. That's fine. I think that'll be good. That's perfect. That'll do me. It's very, very good to me. And again, I do a little bit of 120 sandpaper. Look at the bed of my lathe. Oh no, it's all dirty. That'll be the eucalyptus. So a piece of 120 sandpaper, because my other bit seems to have disappeared. Expense, expense. Oh, bring this back up. More. So I've hardly touched that lip at all with the sandpaper. I'm doing the inside only. What we'll do now is we'll just quickly check that the cup still fits. It's good. How well does our grain line up? That's the grain lining up there. It's not, oh, there's a bit of a gap there. But the grain lines up nicely, but we've got a tiny little bit of a gap just here. How interesting. There. The grain on that knot's not lining up very nicely. That's, I've got it in the right place, of course. Yeah, have I? Yep. This side lines up much nicer. But the grain on that side, it's just, because there was a knot in here, it just looks funny. Maybe be better once we get it finished. Whoops. Oh dear, dropped it. Not such a good fit now. Took too much off it with the sandpaper today. Anyway, tailstock back on. Just for a second. And step center back again. Step live center. And I'll put this on here. Try and get it lined up the best I can. That's it there somewhere. And then push that up to there. And then wind that in. So as it holds it. And now we can do what we like. We've got a little bit to play with there, so we can actually, I'm going to run the tool right along here. My spindle gouge. And just take a little bit off that. Well, maybe not. I'll use this little spindle gauge. There's a little ridge here. So I'm just going to run my spindle gauge along there and try and finesse that off. And then I've got my, to make our domed end at this end. So let's see how that goes. So I'll rub the bevel on there. Lift the handle to pick up the cut just at the joint. So again, we're just speeding past these bits where there's nothing much happening, and we're just taking away some timber and adding a little bit of shape. I really just wanted to show you the some of the interesting bits and some of the bits where it goes wrong for me as well. So there we just kind of shaped the foot a little bit, gave it an extra little bit of embellishment at the bottom by adding a small little cove. And now we're just thinning out the stem. We'll stop and have a look at that now. Yeah, I need to, there's a few tool marks in there. A little bit tear out there. A little bit tear out up there. But some really nice bits of wood in there. So I'm going to leave us a very fine base here. In fact, I might just actually scallop a wee edge on that. I might just do a little. Just there. Got that to there. And then take it in down there. Nice finishing cut coming down here, hopefully. Have to bring it out. Trouble getting it back out because the bevel is rubbing and I can't get it turned. A little bit more there. A little bit more again. Just like that. And then we'll finish that there. I think that's it. I think that will do for shaping. So I'm going to cut that off there now. Trim it off right there. Should do. Make somebody maybe a nice Easter gift. I don't know. But it's time for sanding. It's 5 to 5. My God, I've been here all afternoon. Again. Again, he says. So turn the speed down a little bit. Just going to give this a bit of sand now, guys. So we'll just let you see the start of that process. Paching! Off it goes. So we'll quickly get through the sanding, and here I'm just trying to thin off the end, preparing for parting off. Just using a 3/8 spindle gauge. So we sanded this from 120 on up to 400, or 320, sorry. A little bit of sanding sealer from Hampshire Sheen, cellulose sanding sealer. At this stage I still hadn't decided whether I was going to paint this or not, or just leave it natural. So now I can still finish that because I can put that back in the chuck. It's just finishing this end. Now how can I do that? Let's just turn it around in the chuck. I think. So if I turn that round there, put that end in the chuck. There is 1 and 2. There's 1 and 2. So that's where it came out of the chuck. So there. Now, I want to take this end off, so I'm going to put a bit of tape over the end. Loose tapes and oils. We'll put some blue tape over it. So basically we're just going to tape the joint. And I've actually wound the tape the incorrect way. It's better if you wind the tape in the other direction, so it's when the lathe's turning it's not going to flap over. Hopefully that'll hold it on while I can turn this off. Let's have a look and see. Take tailstock away. That is actually just going to turn off on its own. There we go. There we go. So that's obviously a little bit high. We'll drop that down a little bit. We'll see can I turn the end of this now. So I've kept the speed down a little bit, and I'm using very light cuts, as you can see, just to nibble the end off and bring it to that sort of dome shape that I was looking for. I think that'll do. Now, sanding again. Sorry about all this sanding, guys. Sure, that's what it is. Can't finish a beat unless you sand it. And I think I'll just take that elbow stabber away too. Oh, wrong one. That's it. There we go. Pro edge. So I just want to keep the sandpaper moving there all the time. Look at that and see what that's like. So as not to cause any circular marks on the top. Pretty good. So now I need to go back up the guts again. Whatever I've done with the piece of paper. Threw them away likely, because I used sandpaper like it's correct fashion. That's about 180. So we started with 120, now we're up to 180. Should be good. Yep. 240. So I left this little bit of sanding just at normal speed, just to let you see the whole process of the sanding. Now, I was thinking about doing some Joe Sonia paints on this, but I'm starting to really like the... So I'm going to take the tape off and see what it looks like now. Seems the lid just fall off. Probably will. No, it didn't. Over here, guys. Oops. So this is where I decided that I was going to add some colour. See what I've got in the way of spray. And I have gloss black, which I'm going to give it a coat of gloss black on the base. And then I'm going to use some Joe Sonia iridescent paints to finish it. So, open says me. So let's go over here. I know, we should all be using face masks and when we're spraying paint. I forgot. My humble apologies. I do have a mask for doing it, I just forgot to wear it. We gave us a quick coat of paint and then we used the heater just to force dry it a little bit. Now, if I put this heater on there, plug it in, we can force dry that. And now, adding Joe Sonia's iridescent paint. So use 3 colours of iridescent paint. Started off with this turquoise A colour. I think that's turquoise anyway. And I'm just using a simple little bit of sponge, which has a kind of open weave on it. It has lots of holes in it. It was actually a piece of sponge that came out of a packing case. So just squirt a little bit of paint on the piece and then dab it on, and I'm just trying to give it almost a complete covering of the one colour. It doesn't take very long. It's a very simple paint to use. It comes out of tube white and the colour develops as it dries. It's a beautiful medium to paint with, and it's great for adding embellishments to bits of wood and projects. Joe Sonia paints. You can buy them from the Joe Sonia paint website in the UK, or most wood turning suppliers will have them, or in fact I'm sure any artist outlet will have them, but you can actually buy them direct from Linda at Joe Sonia Paints. So once you get the first coat on here, we just allow it to dry a little bit. So the paint has a great effect if you leave it thicker in places and thinner in other places. It kind of adds to the effect of it. You don't just want to put an even coat on it. Joe Sonia's iridescent paint, if I didn't say that in the beginning, I can't remember if I did now. Nothing as interesting as watching paint dry. So there's the sponge, see that? And this time I've just put a little bit of paint into a little shot glass, a little plastic shot glass, bought them from Amazon. Oh no, yeah, Amazon I think. So you can see that, and particularly when this is going on, how white it is. If memory serves me right, this is iridescent blue. Or maybe this is a violet. I can't remember which order I did it in now. I have trouble remembering what I did yesterday. So again, I'm just kind of giving it a, I don't want to give it a complete coat, obviously I want the colour from underneath to shine through as well. Oh, camera's frozen. I have no idea what's happening there, why that camera has frozen like that. There we go. It's better. So I said this is a partial coat, so you can allow some of the other colour underneath to shine through. It's up to yourself how much paint you use and how thick or how thin you put it on. Just purely a personal choice. Just when your paints are water based, so you can actually just clean up the materials you use with warm water. It's fine. Cold water would do, I'm sure. So the last colour of paint I'm going to use is gold. Again, it's the Joe Sonia gold iridescent paint. I just kind of did this in a spiral sort of effect. Just add a little bit of highlight to the piece. The reason I'm talking currently on the voiceover is because I forgot to turn the microphone on when I was doing this. So that's why I'm speaking now. The good news is there's only about 10 minutes left, guys, so that's an hour we've been going nearly. Sorry for such a long video. I will get better at the editing and removing some of the bits that are not really important. But currently I'm using this, as I said earlier, as a record of my progress. So I want to be able to look back and see the mistakes I made and how I managed to correct them. So there we go. So just to kind of force dry the paint in the end, I used the hair dryer. I don't own a heat gun and such, so I just use a hair dryer on a hot setting. And you'll see that you can actually see the colour starting to develop there a little bit, getting a little bit darker. It is really an interesting medium. I would suggest that every wood toner should have at least a sample set of these paints, just to give them a try, because it's really worth the effort. It can make a huge difference to any project. This little piece of eucalyptus had actually very nice grain pattern in it. It would have been fine just left and probably oiled or polished up. But I thought we'd just try these bits. So because I put the colours on and just left a little bit of time between the coats, the colours kind of blended together as well. So, and I haven't just got three colours in it. If you look, it's kind of blended in and it's developing into almost a rainbow effect of colours. It's a really nice effect. You can really see the blue starting to develop in there now. Particularly in around the base there. Those feet you just seen walking past the bottom of the screen there are my good lady wife who just brought me a nice cup of tea. Thank you very much for that. Again, I've just shown you the whole process of this rather than edit it out and go do faster bits. I've just left it to at normal speed just so you can see the whole process. I hope it didn't bore you to tears. And if you've managed to last this long, you could be the proud owner of this. If you because when I reach 200 subscribers on my channel, I'm going to give this away. And I'll give it away when I announce the giveaway. The person who gives me the code word will be Blackadder 3, and I'll announce that in a live show, and the first person to tell me that code word in the chat will be the winner. So here we go, we're back, and I've given it some Joe Sonia, I sprayed it black first, and then I give it some Joe Sonia iridescent paint, and now I've set it into my chuck. So here's the lid, just a plain straightforward lid, nothing on the inside. So now we're just going to turn off the base, or should I say we're going to try and turn off the base. So nice little light cuts with a nice sharp chisel, and see how we get on, see will it stay on. So I've got it, as I say, in my chuck, just on expansion mode, just holding it there. So we'll turn the speed away down, we'll turn it on. There we go. Maybe go to the close-up camera. There we go, we're on the close-up. So that camera's just fell out again. I don't know what's going on with my system today, but it's not working. So that needs to go down a little bit. I'll speed this up. Let's see, can I do anything like that speed? So just light little cuts. So when we get finished here, we're not too far away from the finish now. Once we get finished, I'm going to try and add a few little pictures from my phone to see can I give you some stills of this completed thing. Because my cameras were messing about a bit, I didn't really get a decent look at it at the end. Now, I'm just going to try and remove that tailstock and see will it stay on. Hope so. Keep the pressure towards the headstock and just see can I just nip that little bud off. I got a little bit lucky here. I'm really going to put my luck now. I'm just going to try and sand this a little bit. I'll just remove that. That's too much light for you. It's just kind of blurring it out completely. It's just whitening it out completely. It's no good for you guys. Good for me, but no good for you guys. I just need to check that for level across the bottom, because I want to make sure it is level. Or I need to take a tiny little bit more off the inside. Oh no! Tiny little bit more off the middle there. It's just proud a little bit in the middle. So I'm just taking a little bit off the centre so as it sits on its outer rim as it's standing on its surface. It's only the outer rim that's touching, so it doesn't rock back and forward or side to side. Should be it now, I think. Yep, that's perfect. Now I can sand away that to my heart's content. And that'll do. So that is the little egg cup. I seem to be losing cameras all over the place here. Go to the tailstock. Oh, the tailstock's not working. The only camera that is working now suddenly is the close-up camera. So switch the extractor off. Undo that. Give that a little rub on the inside with a bit of sandpaper. Just a couple of little dirty marks in there now off the chuck. But I can sand away at the inside because I have to seal the inside and stuff yet. But there we go, guys. That's the basic shape of the little box we made. It just stands on its own 2 feet. So there's the overhead camera, so we can give you a little look at it from there. It's a little bit of eucalyptus. Get a branch piece, you can actually see the pith still in the middle of that. If I show you that, you can see the pith. So I'm going to call this the pill box, because it kind of looks like a pill. Change to that, it looks like a pill. So I'm going to call it the pill box. Just a little experiment to see how it goes. So thank you all for watching. Oh, we can put down there. There we go, you can just about see that. If I twist this camera just a little bit, there we go. There, you can see it now. So there we go. What size is it? It is 150 mil. It's about 6.5 inches tall, and it is about 3 inches wide. So basically it was an experiment for me just to see if I could turn the eucalyptus first and foremost, and make a little box and use some Joe Sonia's iridescent paints in the process. So I think that's quite nice. And the lid is tight enough that it just doesn't quite fall off, but it's not stuck. There's no suction fit. So there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Oops. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.